Welcome to LinkedIn live session at Data Safeguard. We are a AI-empowered SaaS startup in data privacy, compliance, and synthetic fraud prevention company. Today, we will be talking about privacy impact assessment, which is one of the tenets of the data privacy. Welcome to live privacy aficionado. We have Sudhir, our founder and CEO. We have Elliot Lowen, our co-founder and chief privacy officer. Welcome.
Hello.
Let's delve into the world of privacy impact assessment with Data Safeguard, a company dedicated to developing cutting-edge privacy compliance products like ID Redact, ID Mask. We have already covered that. So the unique privacy impact assessment process incorporates the cognizable computing engine, that is our patent published in US, and how it is actually adding a fascinating layer to data discovery. Let's explore this topic in next 15 to 17 minutes. Sudhir, what exactly is a PIA and why it is so important?
Well, thank you, Damodar, for the precursor. So, privacy impact assessment is a core tenet of overall data privacy compliance. When an enterprise decides to implement data privacy compliance, there are 7 different core tenets of it: consent management, confidential data discovery, privacy impact assessment, data subject access request, compliance audit, confidential data redaction, as well as overall privacy management, where you are using a compliance engine, etc., to be able to show that you are either meeting GDPR or CPRA or NIST, or some of the other countries around the globe, like DPDP Act out of India, PDPA out of Singapore, NESA out of the Middle Eastern countries. So one of the really important assessment that has to be done before a company can say, how do I start? Now I'm going to implement data privacy compliance, but I must do something, right? Where do I start? Now, generally, it is accepted that consent management is the beginning of the process in terms of implying or implementing a data privacy compliance solution. But the core revolves around privacy impact assessment. So once this sensitive data or a confidential data, which might be a combination of PII, PHI, sensitive, non-sensitive data, that is of value, whether to internal or to external parties, is to be either to safeguard it or to identify what kind of confidential data I have in my data ecosystem that I must, if there is an external audit or GDPR agency or some of the other agencies like CPRA, they come to a California-based company and do an audit. I must be able to show that I have done this and this and this and that, and I am protecting all the confidential data the way that I am supposed to protect to meet compliance. Now, a great way of helping an enterprise understand whether they are compliant or not is by conducting a privacy impact assessment. It's in 2 parts. The first part is to find the data, which is called discovery. In different organizations, they call it discovery of confidential data. Now, manually, it is not possible that you will go into all kinds of real-time systems and historical systems and databases are also tabular, in memory, structured databases, unstructured databases, MongoDB, Cassandra. There's so many different types. NoSQL, Oracle, SQL Server. They could be Hadoop file systems in a flat file format. It could be a data lake that takes unstructured data, semi-structured data, structured data, etc. And then there are individual systems that might hold individual files like PDF and CSV and Excel and docx, PPT, etc., etc. It could be SharePoint, it could be on NAS, it could be on a file share, it could be on Documentum, it could be on content management system. So automating the process of finding or doing the discovery of confidential data is a key part of privacy impact assessment. Once you have found the data and then you have the metadata associated with it, you would know that in which system there is exposure. Once you have that data, then you complete the assessment by creating a strategic roadmap and telling the customer, here is where you have exposure, here is where you have applied the right kind of mechanisms to protect the data or to meet compliance, and here is where nothing has been done and you have high exposure here. You may get fined.
Yeah.
Now, fines, as all of us know, these days are not in the hundreds of millions of dollars, they're running into billions of dollars, and decreasing customer confidence. If it's a bank or a healthcare company or a retail company or a government agency, public sector companies, technology companies, etc., if it becomes a public news that the information that belongs to me and is personally identifiable to me, that data is not being protected, the company is not doing anything about it, I'm going to lose confidence in that company. So how do I feel confident? How do they increase my confidence? By making me believe that the sensitive data that belongs to me, confidential data that belongs to me, is being well protected, data privacy compliance has been implemented, etc. So creating that roadmap, telling the customer that we can bring in our product, let's say it is our product, it's or somebody else's product or a consulting approach, etc. We have to automate that process to do the discovery of the confidential data, then automate the process of finding the metadata associated with all these PII, PHI, sensitive, non-sensitive data elements, finding the elements at source itself, and then creating that roadmap for the customer that this is what you need to do, this is your timeline, this is what needs to happen, more like a project plan to help them understand how the implementation should be done to help them become compliant. So in nutshell, you do the confidential data discovery, you create a strategic, you extract the data out of the metadata, you populate that into your privacy impact assessment template, and you present that to the customer saying this is where you have exposure, this is what you need to do to eliminate that exposure. So this is how they can become free from paying the fines and being able to increase customer confidence and not have to pay the fines overall. So I'll stop with that.
Yeah. Thank you, Sudhir. Elliot, I would like to understand how does our privacy impact assessment differ from the traditional methods?
Well, the first of all, Sudhir did a great job
Yeah.
giving an overview and explaining the purpose and importance of the privacy impact assessment. It was a a term that was discovered and created by the GDPR, the real first Privacy Protection Act in Europe.
Yeah.
And from our experience working with GDPR, we found that the PIA, the Privacy Impact Assessment, was highly applicable to other rules and laws anywhere in the world. In fact, in many cases, it's a great first step for a company to understand what their risks are, which I think we can get into later. But as Sudhir mentioned, the process is integrated into our overall data privacy compliance approach.
Right.
And it really uses our learnings, our expertise, um, and and it drives our understanding of how crucial privacy is for building trust and transparency over time.
Absolutely. I think Sudhir also mentioned the benefits of our offering, like let's say increase accuracy and efficiency, like let's say uh, automate much of the manual work, reducing the time and resources need for the privacy impact association. Let's say we can get into deeper insight, like uh, we can uncover the hidden PII relationship and context, right? And also scalability, like you can handle large data sets effectively, making it suitable for complex projects. So, Sudhir, I
Yeah.
want to understand, are there any limitation or concerns with using AI in privacy impact assessments?
No, not really. See, a lot of people have this fear that AI might do this or AI might do that. It actually depends on what we train AI as a technology to do what we want it to do. So
Mm.
that is always in control of the human. It's never outside the control of the human. Now, in the movies, you might watch that in software driven something is getting out of control and a car cannot
Yeah,
be stopped and the brakes have failed because somebody else took control.
yeah,
And it might happen in the next 20 years. It might happen that so much of digitization might lead to something like that. That is a possibility.
yeah,
But today, AI on its own don't have the ability to go decide something, and it's also not something that we are trying to build. We are not trying to create human capability using AI. What we are trying to
yeah.
do is to
Mm.
increase the efficiency of the product. The product, as it is automated, it removes the need for manual work, and what it does is that at a very high percentage of accuracy, it is able to find all the confidential data that might be sitting in a customer's environment, be it real time, historical, logs, individual files, etc., which is humanly impossible. That is what
Yeah,
we say, right? What we are trying to do something that cannot be done by a human. It is humanly impossible to go find and do a discovery of confidential data in an enterprise environment. However many scripts that you may write, SQL statement that you may write, and however many databases you do one
yeah,
by one, every database, you will still be at sub 40% accuracy. The the uses of AI, the abilities of AI, and pushing the AI technology to the core and building the hand-coded AI algorithms that we have done within our product helps us achieve something called hyper accuracy. Now, that hyper accuracy can only be achieved by building your own AI models, not by taking a transformer that is open sourced and available through BERT or Spacey or Robota or some of the others. They will give you that sub 40%, 50% accuracy also, which you can do by writing a homegrown application using search statements or SQL statements, etc.
yeah,
So can AI create any risk within a customer environment? No. Can AI, if it is not managed well, can it create some, because you are creating a AI platform and then you're bringing
yeah,
PIA data, and then you forgot to delete that data after you did some, because you are training the model on some PII data, PHI data, sensitive data. Then you forgot to delete that data source and you left it out there and there is a breach. If there is a breach, then that data got hacked, and that can be sold in the market and dark web, and create all kinds of other action items comes out of it. Synthetic fraud leads to synthetic fraud and prevention of financial losses,
yeah,
etc., etc. But the point is, AI by itself doesn't do it. It's a human error that can cause this, that
yeah,
you are bringing certain data to a platform to train your AI model, and then AI on its own did not decide to leave that data open or unprotected for the hacker to come in and take it, steal it, or do whatever with it. It's a human that decided, well, what am I supposed to do after I train my model? Then that data should be purged or deleted from that environment.
yeah.
So that's what happens, which in the world, many people think that AI is causing it. And that's actually not true. That's actually caused by these errors are generally caused by manually by people who are forgetting to purge the data or delete the data, leave that in an unprotected format. So does that answer your question?
Absolutely, absolutely. Great insight. Thank you, Sudhi. I would like to understand from Milliet, if you can give one industry example, let it be healthcare organization, how our solutions might be used in a privacy impact assessment.
Yeah, I give many examples. The best examples are in the uh, financial sector.
Okay.
Banks, insurance company, securities, um, and healthcare. As you mentioned, healthcare is a good
Yeah.
example. So, since you mentioned healthcare, um, let's imagine a hospital system that has asked to conduct a privacy impact assessment on all their patient related records, including logs.
Mhm.
Using Data Safeguard's patented products,
Right.
we would be able to go through all their systems and processes and identify information which we would call protected health information (PHI), like their names, their addresses, their diagnoses,
Yeah.
their personal information. And we would be able to then analyze the context of that information to determine what the level of risk associated with it in that environment. In many cases, people who are responsible for risk management or overall security just do not know how much personal information, sensitive information, is out there under their system. So this is a great first step, as Sudhir mentioned, in a multi-step process to determine both assessing their privacy and that impact, and also what the risk associated with that is.
Great. Uh, my next question to Sudhir. So, what are the potential consequences of not conducting a privacy impact association? Give an example. Let's say large enterprise organization like BFS, insurance, or healthcare.
Yeah. So, somebody might say, I am
Hmm.
doing so many things in data privacy compliance to meet data
Mhm.
privacy compliance, but I'm going to skip privacy impact assessment.
Okay.
So, while, think of it this way, right? The core of the system is that you do not know where is your exposure, and you are trying to implement something saying that I want to become privacy impact or data privacy compliance, but I don't want to do the assessment to understand where is my exposure. Now, a better, more smarter decision is to complete the privacy impact assessment. And based on that, then you say, okay, where is my exposure? I have done 80% of the work to become data privacy compliant. So this exists, that exists, but this doesn't exist. That we don't have today. And
Yeah.
the privacy impact assessment helps you in identifying those gaps, and then you can plug those gaps and become, let's say, go from 80 to 90%, 90 to 95%, 95% to 98%, and then become fully compliant. But it's extremely difficult to stay compliant unless you keep on doing privacy impact assessments on an annual basis,
Right. Yeah.
because that will tell you what other gaps may have generated or what other gaps may have formed or may have come into existence that you are not aware of. Because if you did something 3 years back, doesn't mean that the data became stagnant and no new data came into a no new environment. There's always business creating a new data environment, technology creating a new data environment, new tools, new products, new systems are being created to create new insights out of data. Where is that data, and is it protected? Is it following the same standards of data privacy compliance? You don't know that unless you keep on doing an assessment every year, and that is available within our product. So if a customer is using our product, then it's already included, and that assessment continues to happen, right, on a regular basis to ensure that the compliance guidelines are being met. And not only that, what also helps in identifying any future gaps that might also get created within the environment, we can quickly capture that and help plug that gap.
Great. Thank you, Sudhir. Elliot, looking ahead, how do you see the future of privacy impact assessment and data privacy with AI, going along with them? Yeah.
Well, as Sudhir mentioned, it's a critical step in the future of any analysis and any understanding of your enterprise's privacy and compliance infrastructure. So we're one of the first companies to embed the AI concept in our key data privacy compliance products, which are ID Mask and ID Redact. In fact, if any of our viewers are interested, they can find out more information by visiting our website, which is datasafeguard.ai.
Yeah.
But to get to your point, what the future has in store for us, um, we think the algorithms involved in AI are going to become more and more sophisticated. So as we start looking at ways that privacy isn't directly stated through uh, sensitive information, but is implied through a combination of pieces of information, um, we'll be able to detect that more easily, even though we are looking for that kind of context. Um, we see wider adoption in all size companies, from small to very large corporation, of the types of laws that are being promulgated. And therefore, the need for these types of services where data is anonymized or redacted becomes more and more critical. And that's what the business we're in. So we think we have a basic commitment, in fact, a passion to innovate. And we are responsible to make sure that our products are fit for use and forward thinking, not to mention first to market, as the world changes, because it inevitably gets more complicated. Uh, we feel we're on top of it right now, and we continue to work from that perspective.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll add to
Yeah.
that. I'll add to
Yeah.
that. So June of 2021, when we started, 30 countries around the world were thinking or had done some adoption of data privacy compliance. Now you can see major countries around the world are very actively and eagerly working on implementing data privacy compliance, because all of them feel like we should have done this 10 years back. And what's the exposure that we have today? How many data breaches are happening on a daily basis? There are major data breaches, and just think about, only the major ones are getting reported.
Yeah.
The minor to medium-sized data breaches, now people don't even think that it is even necessary to report those. But as more and more countries start to implement data privacy compliance in a more strictly manner, where they're imposing fines and companies are required to do it, it'll become a necessity more and more. And you will see 5 years from now, more than 5 billion people will be needing a solution.
Yeah.
Whereas the countries in data privacy, because it's regulation, it's compliance, it's driven by the countries and driven by policy decisions made by policymakers, generally comes from the government. And then
Yeah.
enterprises start implementing. But one more thing that happens is that the customer becomes the end user, the customer like you, me, Elliot, and the whole wide
Yeah.
world of people, 7 billion people around the world. We all will become more and more educated about it and say, why do you need my date of birth? Why are you asking
Yeah.
for my social security number?
Yeah.
You don't need that. All you need is my name to be able to identify me, right? So with that, think about it.
Absolutely.
2019,
Yeah.
419 PII elements were associated with an individual. By
Hmm.
end of 2025, 1800 plus PII elements can be associated
Yeah.
with an individual, right?
Yeah.
There are more and more ways that this data is kind of expanding, exploding, and 1800 PII elements associated with one individual. And if that is not protected today, it's like a time bomb. It's going to explode. And how
Yeah.
is it going to explode? Hackers will laugh at us saying that, you guys are thinking you are so smart, but I can hack into your network within a few minutes, and I can show you right in front of me. And I think back to my trip to Estonia, which is a
Okay.
Eastern European country, and sitting in that university where they teach how to hack into a large network and be able to steal. The reason why more breaches are not happening today, because they are waiting to do something big. Every time
Yeah.
they hack into a network, then the company becomes more aware, and they will try to plug that port, or however the breach happened, they will minimize the impact. They all wait for a maximized effort, because it's also a business for them. It's a mob syndicate that runs all these
Yeah.
organizations, and they are funding education to training people to be able to steal the data. So that means there's a bigger market that will be there in the next 5 years. So enterprises, government agencies, policymakers have to think about this to say, I must do something to think about the future. Think in the next 5 years, what is going to happen? 5 billion people who are on a digital platform today will be impacted. What should I be doing? Should I not be doing it, or should I be doing it? Or should I be doing it with a lot of authenticity and putting more thought processes into it? If you look at Gartner, Forrester, and IDC, and Markets, some of these top companies, McKinsey, etc., they all say that $175 billion were spent on doing cybersecurity protection or
Yeah.
spent towards cybersecurity. That shift is going to happen. It's already happening, and is going to pick up more steam. And by end of 2028, data privacy will see about 150 billion in spent, meaning more and more companies will put in more systems to become compliant and protect the data at source itself. So the future, in my opinion, is pretty bright for companies that are putting money into data privacy compliance.
Great,
Also,
Sudhir. It's always pleasure talking to you and get your insights. And I'm sure our audience will get benefit out of it. So looking at the time constraint we have, Elliot, any concluding remarks on the
Well,
PIA?
there's a lot more. As
Yeah.
Sudhir has mentioned, our privacy impact assessment is part of an overall ecology, an overall way of looking at privacy in an enterprise. Anyone interested in it should definitely visit our website,
Right.
datasafeguard.ai, where there's a ton more information, white papers, and other things. And contact us. We'll be glad to talk to them.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you. At Data Safeguard, we are committed to innovate and play a responsible AI company, and which is poised to play a leading role in shaping the future of data privacy, compliance, and helping organizations navigate this evolving landscape very effectively. So if you have any question answer, please feel free to reach out to us. And one more good news to share, our Bhubaneswar Development and Support Center would be inaugurated on February 12th. If you are in Bhubaneswar, we all would like to meet you. Thank you, Sudhir, Elliot, for joining in, and appreciate. And we will come back with another topic on the data privacy compliance, regulation, and synthetic fraud sometime next week. Till then, take care and safeguard your PII and PHI. Bye.
thank you.